Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Connecticut at Your Service. My name is Carmen Nieves, and I am your host. And this is a show where we highlight individuals in our community that are making a difference, personally, professionally, or the way that they serve our community. And I have the most wonderful opportunity to introduce you to my friend, Senator Marilyn Moore, who is joining us here today from the 22nd District. How are you, Marilyn?
I'm looking forward to the conversation. You know, I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you.
And I'm so excited to have you here because we have some history. So I'm going to ask you a really silly question as an education. So you and I have known each other, God, it's got to be more than 15 years, I think, that we've known each other. And I knew you before you were a senator. So just to educate people, because you're an elected official, do you rather that people, like, what's the respectful way to address you? Is it Senator, Marilyn?
I worked so hard for this title, and it's an honor, and there's not another black senator, female. I like to be called Senator Moore. Even though people want to call me Marilyn Monroe, all of the time.
Marilyn Monroe, I can see it.
All of the time, Senator Moore.
You know what? That's a good lesson for me because we've known each other for such a long time. So first, I want our viewers to know a little bit about you because I just think that you're amazing. We have a long history together. I've sat on your boards of some projects. I've photographed some of your events. You know, I've walked with you many, many miles in some of the work that you do. Tell me a little bit about you, your family, and what's your motivation?
So I was born in Bridgeport, right? I lived on Washington Avenue across the street from the Greens Apartments, and then during this period of development for Bridgeport, the highway came through, right? The Colonel Mucci Highway came through in '95, and that was going to be the big buildup. So we lived on the corner of Washington and Fulton. We had two houses. Both houses got taken away by eminent domain. So, and I was in high school, so we had to leave there, right? But we had a nice network of family between the housing project across the street and the living, on a street where you knew everybody. And if you did anything wrong, someone was going to tell your mother before you could even get home. So, but I love Bridgeport. One thing about me is that I've never changed my love for Bridgeport, no matter what part of town I lived on. So. Been in Bridgeport, I worked in the telephone company for 20 years, not really in Bridgeport, but all over the state. And then when I left the telephone company, I started their long distance company and their cellular company. Left and said I was going to get a job at Stop and Shop. It was going to be paper and plastic because I didn't want to be responsible for anybody else ever again. I managed a lot of people. But instead, somehow, I ended up doing education for breast cancer and spent 18 years helping low-income women, uninsured women, get mammograms all over the state. And that just opened up so many doors and so many opportunities to meet people, learn, understand the healthcare system, address barriers, and that I think that network and love of people and wanting to do more than just get mammograms for women and fight for insurance for them, I decided, I'm going to do a little bit more, and I ran for office and became the senator in 2015. Oh, wow.
And I know that we're teeting over to a little bit of work, but I have to say, we both joined the GG Club, so we're both grandmas. I have 5 grandchildren that I love to pieces, but
I've got 10.
You got 10 and some great grands.
And sometimes when I'm around people and my kids have a different last name than I do, and they'll say to me, I know you. Oh, you so-and-so's mother? I'm saying, yes, I am. Are you really? Because they're I said, I know how old they are. I birthed them. And then, so I have 3 adult children, all in their 50s, and I have 10 grandchildren. I have, the youngest one is 7. And the oldest is 34, and she had a little girl at the end of May, and she's in Hamden. And then I have a granddaughter, a great-grand in Stratford, and one in Illinois.
Don't you just love it?
Listen, My kids even say to me, for my grandkids, they don't even know who I am because all the things I let them do and all the things I do for them, and I say, oh, let them. Oh, that's not what we did for us. You know, you let them do this, you let them do that. Well, who are you? You have a second chance with grandchildren, right? And then with great-grand, you got another chance to do it again, right?
I love it.
It's all about spoiling them, and I always say, spoiling is nothing but love.
And my kids say that all the time. You know, do they have a nickname for you? Mine is Nana and Neno.
Mine is Noni.
Noni. Oh, that's what's on your necklace?
That's on my necklace.
I love it. I love it. See, so you carry them with you every day.
I love them. And then this other one is all of my children I have on this, so I keep them close to me all the time. Yeah.
Talking about your children, one of your daughters is an author, right?
And you know Felicia, because she met you a long time ago,
yes,
right?
And she had moved out of state, right?
Right. She's back
she's
in
back.
Connecticut. So my daughter Felicia is an author. She wrote a trilogy, urban fiction. She helps other people write their books, and she can edit. She is really a brilliant child. Just absolutely
amazing.
Brilliant, right?
That's amazing.
Very creative, right? And she writes so well that when I read it, I'm like saying, how come I can't do that? I can't. How did she string all those words together to get her point across? So she does that. Then my other daughter, she lives in North Haven, and my son is in New Haven. So all of my kids have moved out of Bridgeport, but I'm staying. I'm there. But I love the idea of having adult children. I love the idea of having so many different ages for grandchildren. And I think that's what leads me to be active in the community, because I want not just Bridgeport, I want the world to be better, the state to be better for the generation of the children that are coming.
And we have to do a better job of creating opportunities to keep our kids here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I own a 3-family. We live on the south end of Bridgeport. And we purposely bought it to be able to stay together. You know what I mean? My little one that just turned 30, she lives in Ansonia. But, you know, and...
You know what my dream was? My dream was to buy... so I grew up in the Hollow. Center Street is between Washington Avenue and Harrell. And at one time, all the houses were really run down. They're not any longer. And I said, I would like to buy that whole street and put all of my family, my sisters, my brother, and their kids, and have a whole street where they can all grow up together. Like, this is our unit that we can keep, and the kids can know one another instead of having the kids move all over the place, have them together. That would just be... That was the dream, you know.
Listen, that is still the dream.
Well, I don't play
want a cul-de-sac.
Well, I said I was going to hit the lottery, but I don't buy lottery tickets, so I don't know how I'm going to hit the lottery when I don't buy them.
And I would like to be a philanthropist.
Yeah.
I would like to go around the world and either do it myself or work for an organization that supports projects that make a difference. I mean, we don't have to recreate the wheel.
Right.
Every time some certain amount of money, let's figure out, and you and I share the same on this, that people just have to work together.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. If you got a little bit of money and you can serve 10 and you can serve 2 and you can serve 5, we're killing ourselves.
Right, because I always think about really, you know, people talk about generational wealth, passing it on. I want my kids to live a good life right here and now. And if I do that for them, they can do it for the next generation. But for me to stockpile a whole bunch of money and see people suffering, it just doesn't make sense to me, right? I had this idea once, and my daughter said, is that with our inheritance? I said, I should buy, you know, the storage places. I said, I should buy one of those storage places, put beds in them, and let the homeless sleep in there during the winter. Because there's really no reason that we shouldn't be taking care of those who want a place to stay. Sometimes the homeless, they don't want a permanent place. A lot of veterans, they don't want a permanent place. But when it's cold outside, they need to have a place that they can go to. I said, we can build, if we could build those storage places in a matter of months, why can't we build those and have beds and like a sink and a stove or something in there for them? I just think there's more that we can do for people, but we need to be able to do it as a community.
And one of the things, because I mentioned to you before that I'm with the Parent Leadership Training Institute, and that's a 20-week kind of leadership initiative where they help people who care become people who lead. And it's like 20 weeks, so it talks about everything. And one of the things that we've had this conversation, you and I, before, is that when you address something, to address it with a solution.
Right.
Not just not just address the problem and like, what are you going to do about it? Because they say it to me too, because
Right.
I sit on leadership groups too. I think that it's really important, and I've heard you say this before, like, tell me what you would like done. And
How do you see it happening?
I
Right?
love that.
Because it should. So I was on the design team for PLTI. Back in the day was Donna Thompson Bennett. And what I liked about that, it was an opportunity when something was beginning to build stuff in to make sure people had what they needed. But that was with input from other people. It wasn't one person sitting at the table. It was a group of people designing that, right? So a lot of times people come up to me, and sometimes they're not so nice as a senator and say, well, you did this and you did that. What would you like to do? What would you have had me do, right? And do you really understand what you're saying that you didn't like? Do you know the whole story? But do you want to be involved? So I'll do a survey every year to my constituents, asking them, I'll give them like a choice of 5 different things, and asking them what would they like me to do. I get such a small return when you ask people to do that, right? But people will complain, and sometimes they have a right to complain, but we all have to be a part of the solution. We all have to have some grit in the game, right? We all have to have, let's hear all the ideas and let's see what really works, that we could build something. And not just come in for a moment, but stay the course. Let's tweak it and let's see what we can get done. I just believe the only way we're going to be successful is all of us being involved. And I'll use for case in point the 2-gen model that we used at the state of Connecticut.
remember that. Yeah.
That is like, I'm like a godmother for 2-gen. They call me the godmother of 2-gen. And it's because I believe that if you have a parent taking care of a child, whether it's one parent, 2 parents, whether it's a man, a woman, whoever that person is, let's deal with them on the family unit. So if the child has a problem, let's not just deal with the child. Let's find out if there's something in the household that's creating the problem for the kids, and let's work on it and do it as a family unit. So I don't believe on doing this top-down piece. I believe that we should be doing from the ground up, including the parents, asking them, what's the solution? What would you like? What do you need? How can I help you? Because that's what I think most people should be saying, who are empowered to help other people, is how can I help you? What would you like me to do?
And you always say, and I've heard you say this before, that people have to be part of the solution, just like you just said, or be at the table.
Right.
And when massive changes don't initially happen, it just takes one person that has got an issue, has got an idea, this neighborhood needs a park, whatever it is. But I think that one of the things that I've always kind of taken a look at, and Henry Trudeau, who's a philosopher, he has a quote that says, it doesn't matter what you're looking at, it's what you see, right? So I know that you have like a quote that you go by too, but I think it's really important that what is the story that you want to be able to tell?
Right.
If you were talking about the rundown buildings, but you saw what it could be.
Yeah.
So I could be looking at a picture, because I'm a photographer in my other life, and I take a look at something and I remember what my grandbaby smelled like, what she said, what kind of noises she made by looking at her. And I choose to look at the good things.
Right.
That's why this show to me is so important, because people always have something to say,
Right.
Senator. They don't, there isn't one single person that I can say that I know that lives an ideal life.
Right.
They live a good
We
life.
all have something that's a
Absolutely.
burden, but it's how you use those burdens. So I look at the breast cancer. I got involved in that because the extent that I did is because when I was trying to help uninsured, low-income, and underinsured women, if I took a Latino woman or someone who didn't speak English to a place that should have provided for them, they spoke very loud, like talking loud was going to make the difference, or they never gave them all the information because they felt it was going to be too difficult for that person to understand. So that's a bias, right? You think I'm not going to understand because I don't speak English, right? And from those things that I learned how people are treated in the healthcare system, by the time I got to Hartford to be a legislator, I went after I went after hospitals and the medical field, saying you created disparities. You create disparities when you don't give, everybody doesn't get the same treatment, when you have these biases, and I'm here to address them. Now, I learned that. I could have ignored it by the time I got to Hartford, right? But I felt as though this was really important. I need to stay the course and address these things that are happening. So we all have an opportunity, right, to make a change when we see something that's wrong. It's it's about how much are you willing to invest of yourself to make those changes. How much skin in the game do you want to have, or do you just want to have somebody else do it for you? Because I find a lot of times people will complain, but they want you to do it for them. They don't want to. They don't want to take the hits and the work. But to be successful, we all have to be in it together.
And people want everybody else a lot of the time to do the work. And I will tell you that I work with a lot of people too, and sometimes they just don't know where to begin for somebody to be nice and listen and be kind. And I want people to know that you were championing this work, Senator, before you were a senator.
Yeah.
I remember, the walks that you used to do, which reminds me, listen, your aide sent me your bio, right? So in that bio, it must have had 30 or 40 different awards for things that you've gotten credit for the things that you've done to change the life of other people. Share with me one that you're really, really proud of. And we talked a little bit about the Witness Project. You didn't name it, but it's the Witness Project. I've sat on the board with you. We've helped do design projects. And what a lot of people didn't know, that I know that you used to do a lot of education workshops about that, is that men can get breast cancer too.
That's right. Yep.
And not that many really understand it, and you used to do a lot of championing for that. But is outside of the Witness Project, which we'll come back because I know that's definitely something dear to your heart, that you're particularly proud of, like maybe one of your awards that you got, or because you've gotten for advocacy for cancer, hunger, youth, you name it. Well, I love it.
It's a journey. Life is a journey, and I don't think everybody gets to see it unless you get to be older and you reflect back on the things that have happened in your life, and you see that you have been God is preparing you for everything that you do along that journey, right? Like, how would I have known about creating legislation without doing the Witness Project and knowing that those women needed help?
Let me just take this call, because sometimes. Hello, caller, and welcome to Connecticut at your service. Do you have a question for Senator Moore?
As a matter of fact, I do. That's why I called.
Okay, that's great, and thank you.
I was just curious, being that the Supreme Court has overturned Roe versus Wade, and now they've thrown the decision to the states as to whether abortion should be legal or not, I was curious what the senator's position on that would be.
So I am pro-choice. I want to tell you there was a bill before the Senate that had to do with reproductive health that I voted no on. And I didn't vote no against being abortion. I voted no against the bill because as a part of the bill, they were going to allow other than physicians to perform medical abortions. And I know enough from the work I did in breast cancer how health disparities are created. And it doesn't have to be intentional. A lot of the things that hurt us in the way of health disparities for people of color, I don't believe they were all intentional, but I don't think people thought through how is it going to impact low-income women? How is it going to impact uninsured women? How is it going to impact people on Medicaid? Because right now on Medicaid, if you're a Medicaid recipient, it is so hard to find a doctor who's a specialist, for not only for you, but for your children, right? And so if there's a need for a medical abortion and the person is low income or on Medicaid, I doubt very seriously that they're going to get the physician. I believe they could end up getting the APRN or the midwife to do the abortion. I don't think that people think about how that will play out long term on who gets the best service. And I'm always fighting for all of us to get the same service. I'm always fighting for equity. So I am pro-choice, and we have a bill that's protecting people from coming in from outside of Connecticut, and the Attorney General is part of other Attorney Generals from the United States that's going to fight it.
So thank you, caller, for that question, because I think it's a very timely question. I just wanted to mention, hold on one second. I just wanted to mention that on our website, on our screen right now, if you go to senatdems.ct.gov/more, you will be able to see, because I looked on your website a little bit earlier, and you are championing so many efforts that you're involved in that it actually gives you the link to be able to say this is where you stand or some information on that. So I just wanted to just share that. But caller, did you have another question?
Well, just a follow-up question. I was curious if if there was any cutoff period, like are you in favor of late-term abortion as opposed to an early-term abortion, or would you be in favor of abortion right up to birth? I was just curious.
Well, I don't want to debate that. I am pro-choice. I don't want to debate that.
Well, that's going to be the next debate.
Well, that's not going to be a Connecticut debate. That is a national debate that will take place.
It's not national anymore. It's a state-by-state debate.
Well, sir, in Connecticut, we've put in safeguards for what's in place now, and we're not backing down. That's what I want to tell you. We're not backing down.
So then let me ask this question, because I don't understand the answer at this point. So you're up to you're in favor of abortion right up to birth.
Sir, I'm not going to debate this with you. I'm not trying to make this into I'm not making this into a political show. I agreed not to make this into a political show, and I won't be debating that with you.
It's not political. It's like now it's well, listen.
Well,
the ball now is in your court.
It's political because I would have to vote on it, and I haven't made a decision on how I'm going to vote on that right now.
Okay, so you don't have an opinion.
It sounds like not right now.
Yes, not right now.
But feel free to go to the webpage for it.
That's your answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. So we just said that not everybody is going to agree with everything, but if you have questions, I mean, we've put the website up, and on that information, you have an aid if somebody wants to talk to you, or a forum or anything like that. I think it's really important, and I will tell you, I mean, I think that was a very timely question because it's a real issue that's happening right now. And it affects all, it could affect a lot of women.
I was at a rally last Friday, the day they made the decision downtown Bridgeport, standing with women. It's, for my generation, it's no longer an issue, but you have to fight for another, like we talked earlier, we have to fight for another generation. I remember the day when women were going in back rooms. I actually know people who died from coat hanger abortions in back rooms when abortions were not legal, right? And it's usually a low-income person who can't afford a high-priced doctor who will do it in secret. So it's about women's lives. And I believe women have the right to make the decisions about their lives. And if they decide that they want to have an abortion, and I don't care what religion you are, that is their body, their choice, and they will dress it when they meet whoever their maker is that they think they can have that then. But it's a personal decision. I don't think men should be telling women what to do with their bodies and how to do it.
This could be like a whole other show, I'll tell you. So we're kind of we're not wrapping up, but there's other things. So I want to really honestly, for me, that was a hard kind of conversation to kind of
but
but it's real.
It's current. It's current, right?
And other people will share with you kind of what they feel.
Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about.
But I do want to think it's interesting. I do think it's interesting that men want to question women about their bodies, right? When they can deliver a baby and go through the pain and raise a child, or give people the money that may not want to carry that child, then they can have a conversation with me. But it really is a woman's issue. But men are telling us what we should be doing with our body, which I think is totally unfair.
I will tell you that it makes me very, very grateful to have the husband that I have that is just such a fan. And he's got all girls, by the way.
Wow.
All girls. And we have 5 grandchildren, and 2 of those are girls. And he's not your typical person. And honey, if I haven't told you, I appreciate you. Let me just say that, because I think that he's just amazing. And he believes in helping women have their own voice, just about everything. I don't think that he would be okay with, like, if I got pregnant and decided to, like, have an abortion or anything, but not that I would want to, but, I'm too old, and if I get pregnant right now, we got problems, okay, because I don't want to have no more kids.
Miracle.
I'm really happy. I'm really, really happy with the grandchildren that I have. But as we've talked a little bit about some issues that you champion. We've talked a little bit about some of your work and some of the things that you do. We've talked a little bit about you, your family, the things that that inspire you. What's next for you?
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out. I'm in the I've been able to accomplish a lot of things. Some things I never thought I would be able to get done, and watch my family grow up, and everybody's healthy, and everybody's here. I lived to watch my mom be 103 years old. And when she passed, her body was just tired. So I've had a good life. I'm really not sure. I believe anything that you can do in the way of public service is where I want to be. Right? I'm not looking to make any money. I'm not looking to, at this point, get rich. I have everything I need in abundance. I just want to be able to use everything I have to, like, make another generation better, right? So the things that I do the Connecticut Fatherhood Initiative, bringing fathers back together. I co-chair that with the Commissioner of Social Services. I'm working on the 2-Gen. We're going to celebrate the $15 minimum wage on July 1st. I championed that in my first year to
Is
get
that
the
for
wages
this year
up.
or next year?
July 1, it'll go up to $14 an hour.
Yep, and then
next year it's 15.
That's amazing.
And my first year, I did the fight for 15. That was what I was most proud of.
I remember that because
wages.
I was like, Marilyn, we need to be able to earn more so our
Yeah.
families, that brings just like and we're running out of time. But I will tell you that I work in the social service arena, helping people get jobs every day. And I will tell you, like, one of the things we have to battle next is the benefit cliff. So when they get a little bit of money, and a little extra money.
So that's part of the 2-Gen initiative, addressing that.
Yeah.
So as the chair of Human Services, I would hear people say they wanted to take extra hours, but they couldn't because when they got through taking a little bit of extra hours, it threw them out of benefits for their kids for health, and it threw them out of getting any type of stipend, but not enough to make them steady Eddie. So as we look at the benefit cliff, we're going to start looking at, can a parent stay on for an extra 3 months? What is the amount that we can extend to them? So that's a really important issue.
So there's a lot of things. So I want to remind people to go on the website and take a look for Marilyn, Senator Moore, and some of the things that she's championing. And thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. I appreciate
and just
it.
Thank you for
I hope
all
you'll
that
have me
you
come
do.
back again. I just love it.
We would love to have you.
And maybe
back,
I can interview
Senator.
you.
Thank you for joining us at Connecticut at Your Service, where we're here each Tuesday at 6:30.